Hey, world, what up? NBA season starting tomorrow with the opening night games of the Brooklyn Nets against the Golden State Warriors and the LA Lakers against the LA Clippers. So this is going to be a fun season to come across. We do have an open scale and an open skate. So some people are kind of rolling with the LA Lakers to win the championship. Some people are throwing out the Brooklyn Nets. Some think that the Miami Heat can get back in the picture. Some also think that the Clippers could bounce back and et cetera, et cetera. So as my position states, and it's going to be till any new movements have changed my mind, the LA Lakers, for me, are going to be coming out of the Western Conference and winning the 2021 NBA championship. Now, they won in free agency and the offseason moves easily, dominated out there. And good kudos when it comes down to their GM, Rob Pelinka. Bringing in Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, Marcus Gasol, Wesley Matthews, some other cats like that. You see a progression of talented Horton Tucker. So the LA Lakers are in a great position to win back-to-back, fifth championship for LeBron James, 18th championship for the LA Lakers, which would put them number one in the NBA for the amount of championships. Because right now, the LA Lakers and the Boston Celtics are both tied at 17 and 17. Don't be surprised if there's an LA versus Boston Celtics NBA Finals. See how that works. That usually comes around once every decade or so. Would not shock me at all whatsoever. And that kind of transitions back into the Eastern Conference. My two teams I can expect and do expect to either come out of the East are going to be the Boston Celtics, or if it's not them, it'll be the Brooklyn Nets. So let's figure out, we'll see who comes out of it, how things progress and play out. I don't expect too much with the Milwaukee Bucks, with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the new Drew Holiday team. I still don't expect them to win the championship. They're still not a quote-unquote favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. Giannis has a lot to learn in his game and transition, let alone work on his jump shot. So Giannis just turned 26, and we pretty much all NBA fans have noticed he's not there yet when it comes to being in the playoffs. It's a different animal, different beast. There's different layers when it comes down to it. So we're going to be here on Undisputed. Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless. They'll be talking and going a little more deeper into the LA Lakers and the landscape of the field. Of course, I'll give my take and we'll jump in here.
LeBron and Anthony Davis made their preseason debut last night against the Suns. Both stars played limited minutes and combined for 21 total points. The Lakers would end up winning 112-107, thanks to Kyle Kuzma being a focal point with a game-high 23 points, and Talen Horton-Tucker dropping 18. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is joining us this morning. Chris, how did LeBron and the Lakers look?
The Lakers looked great out there. They're 4-0 in the bubble. Kyle Kuzma is now going to be around a 9th or a 10th option for your team. Because you got to remember, the Lakers are 10 deep as it is. So Kuzma, there's not going to be pressure for him this season to be that quote-unquote third guy. He's not going to have that pressure anymore. He's going to be chilling. He's fine where he's at. So when there comes to be a load off his shoulders, less pressure, he'll start to flourish. I would expect more around 18 to 22 point games from Kuzma into this season. So I'm cool with it. He just signed not a max extension. He signed a 3-year extension for $40 million. So the Lakers are good with him. I'm good with him. They're in a great scenario, which works out well. Talen Horton-Tucker, he played some great minutes against the Houston Rockets in last year's NBA playoffs in the second round in the semis. And I expect him as well to transition to be a 10th or 11th man for the Lakers. And that just added more depth as we saw his potential when he pulled around 30 points a game in the preseason, let alone he's been consistent. So I'm liking the LA Lakers. They were undefeated in the preseason, which shows their depth. They have instant chemistry. Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder are fitting very nicely. Again, they're top tier in the NBA. Everyone else, every other franchise's team is looking up at the LA Lakers. And this is, again, I resemble this Lakers team to be somewhat like the 2013 Miami Heat with LeBron James. This will be LeBron James's probably best team all time.
Well, obviously it was a shaky start. LeBron looked like he was a little bit out of shape. He got an early breather, and then he came in and obviously played fine, and they got rid of that early deficit and went on to win. But you don't make too much out of preseason games, especially for an established team like the Lakers. They're not going to go all out. But there were some things I took from it. One, the floor spacing really stood out to me. Like that, to me, it looked like the floor was more spread out than usual, and that's because of the presence of Marc Gasol. He's a very good three-point shooter, shot over 38% from three last year. So it looks like with him as their starting center, they're really going to spread the floor out, and you know what that means for LeBron James. I mean, with the lane wide open like that, I think he's going to have a free way to the basket whenever he wants it. That'll obviously open up three-point shots for him as well. Dennis Schroeder, same thing. He should be able to get into the paint when he wants to. So that's one of the things that stood out. Secondly, they have some really great passers. Obviously, LeBron, you start with. But Marc Gasol, another great passer. That full court over-the-head pass he made off a rebound in the second quarter for an easy layup was tremendous. Dennis Schroeder is a good passer. So we've heard about, last year LeBron had to make all the plays. This year he's going to have other guys who can make plays, which should lighten the load on him. I expect to see, at moments, a clinic from the Lakers in terms of their passing offensively. And then thirdly, last year, we know when LeBron was off the floor, their offense fell apart. The numbers show that they went into the tank. I don't think that'll be the case this year. Obviously, they won't be as good as when LeBron's on the floor. But with THT, Taylor, Horton Tucker, I don't want to put too much on him. But the other guys I already mentioned, I think they've got more playmakers. And the guys like Caruso and that second unit, they're going to be better than last year because they're more confident. They got it done at the highest level. So those are some of the things that I was trying to really look at and read about this upcoming season rather than just the final score and who's scoring and things like that. So I thought it was it's been a pretty good preseason for the Lakers, 3-0, and LeBron and AD have hardly played.
3-0.
Yeah, and I'm curious how Frank Vogel is finally going to establish his starting unit. He's been playing around different lineups in the preseason, trying to go with Kuzma, with Dennis Schroeder, the Marc Gasol, Montrezl Harrell. So I expect it to run with LeBron James, Wesley Matthews, KCP, Anthony Davis, then at your 5, Marc Gasol. I think that's the best way to go with it. I know Dennis Schroeder wants to be that number one guy. He wants to be that point guard to finally start on a team and franchise in his career right now for a contender. But for LeBron James, he won a championship. He's the best player in the world. He's going to dominate the rock. He's going to be your point guard. There's really no need to put Dennis Schroeder as your starting unit. I prefer Dennis Schroeder to come off the bench with Montrezl Harrell and the crew. And LeBron with KCP, Wesley Matthews, AD, and same thing when it comes down to Marc Gasol. That's more of a traditional championship starting lineup for them. And LeBron gets to run point guard. He likes to bring up the ball pretty much around 90 to 100% of the time. So this caters a little more to the LeBron James system, let alone it works out the rest of the depth for the team. So maybe they'll start off with Dennis Schroeder, KCP, LeBron James, AD, and Marc Gasol, and they may put Wesley Matthews off the bench. I'm not sure about it, but I prefer the first lineup I mentioned with LeBron at point guard.
Horton gives a hoot.
It's over.
Yeah, Horton. O-T-A-T. He about to detonate. You know, T-A-T and T-N-T.
THT on TNT. Yep. He's got next.
Skip, Chris, I agree with you because LeBron was got a little gassed early, but that's to be expected. It was a very short, and you have to monitor yourself. You can't go all out because they condensed the season because you just ended 71 days ago, and now you're right back at it in about 5 days, I think next Tuesday. So, it's gonna be a slow build. It's not like he, 25 pounds. He just needs to get his lungs. He needs to get his legs re-engaged to what's about to happen. But I love what I saw also. I love the bench play. Kyle Kuzma going to make me take back everything I ever said bad about him. And I've said quite a few. But I'm willing to amend my statement and be on Team Kuz. Because right now he looking real good. He would let that thing go.
Every Lakers fan was bashing on KCP earlier in the season in 2020, let alone with Kyle Kuzma next. Now, the bullying worked for KCP because KCP was trash the first 15 games or so, and he turned it around. He was very consistent. He played amazing in the finals. And then after the bashing of KCP was Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma never really got it going. Very inconsistent back and forth. But you got to remember last season, it was LeBron and AD. They didn't have a big three. They were looking for that third option to glorify himself and help out AD and LeBron against like the Clippers or in the playoffs. And we saw with it, we had Kuzma like one game. We had majority of Rajon Rondo. And then you would have Dwight Howard a couple games. So right now, the Lakers are reloaded. They're around 10 to 11 deep as it is. Kyle Kuzma is not going to have that pressure anymore or responsibility. Kyle Kuzma will pretty much be around your 8th or ninth man on your team. Again, if you have a starting lineup of LeBron, Wesley Matthews, KCP, Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, who's coming off the bench? You got Montrezl Harrell. You got Dennis Schroeder as your 7th man. As your 8th man, Alex Caruso. Then 9, Kyle Kuzma. Number 10, Markieff Morris. Number 11, Tarleton Horton-Tucker. Number 12, Quinn Cook. So on and so forth. So right now, the Lakers are chilling. LeBron's chilling. LeBron can sit down. He is good. And the good thing, not only did they bring in veteran players, they brought veteran players who are young in their peak. Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder are around 26 to 27 years of age. They got young legs. They'll be good in the regular season for LeBron to load manage. He is good.
As Harold, we already know Trey's going to run to the front of the rim, get us some extra possessions. But I agree with you. I think our second unit will be better this year. They know what's expected of them, and they have the confidence that we talked about. Now, Skip and I discussed earlier, and I will let Skip talk about that, but Schroeder, talking about he going to be the starting point guard. I don't know what team he's thinking he's going to do that on, but that's not going to be the Lakers. But I like what I saw once LeBron got his legs up under him. The second quarter, I believe, is the LeBron James that we're going to see come Tuesday night in the first 4 quarters.
It's only 5 days away.
Don't worry about what time it is. You'll get yours. Watch this triple-dub on Kawhi, Paul, and George Higgins.
So I'm here to announce it's over.
There you go.
It's going to be Lakers in a landslide. It's a cakewalk. They are by far the best team, or so it looked.
Hey, congratulations and kudos to Skip for actually mentioning that. Now, Skip, even though he will say that, he still puts the pressure on LeBron James. So he can use that excuse. If LeBron and the Lakers don't win, he can use this to backfire on him. But everyone knows that the Lakers should be winning the championship and repeating as NBA champions.
Stretches last night. They did look very good. And I will give you, their bench just seemed to have more firepower to it.
Juice.
After LeBron James went LeVar Ball on THT, that poor kid, but he's starting to live up to it. I just don't think he's ever going to live up to flat out special. He might be fairly special on your shock troop team, on your second unit. Okay, I will give you that. He's a weird-looking dude to me, but boy, he can go.
He can put the ball in the basket.
6'4", 234, and it's all in his upper body because he's got slender legs. It's sort of Harden-esque to me because he's got 7'1" wingspan, but he can attack the rim. So I give you that. He can't shoot a 3 to save his life, but maybe that won't matter. Okay, so back to our man LeBron. I will say, and I appreciate that Chris opened up with this, I was stunned at how out of condition LeBron James was because I have the highest regard for him as not only Iron Man, but somebody who really dedicates himself to his fitness. And I do think, because it's the shortest offseason ever, I think he celebrated a championship that really meant, I think it was the one that was his favorite, to go to the bubble and win this.
Right.
I'm not sure he thought he'd ever win another one, and he got a big one.
Oh, we know we're going to win another one. We're going to win another one.
LeBron James joining the LA Lakers was not only about movies and all that. It was about winning as well. This is going to be his glorified years. He had to go through that, not a sacrificial, but he had to go through that ritual of shame this first season in 2019. When pretty much there was chaos, toxicity, players getting traded, rumors, head coaches getting fired, everyone wants to trade LeBron, yada, yada. When you bring in Anthony Davis, they retooled. Now this was the glorified years. That's what I've stated. Very simply and easily. I said the Lakers would win the 2020 championship. And I'm stating now, and I've stated back then, that the Lakers will win 2021. I've even stated for 2022, but I'll keep it step by step with you folks here. LeBron James and the Lakers, these are his glorified years. And I want you guys to realize something. You got to find out these Easter eggs. Last year, there was about Kobe Bryant's death, other things I've kind of mentioned in other past videos. Now, they're the number one team in the whole league based on their roster. Not only that, but Space Jam 2 is coming out summer of 2021, and that's going to be around a week after the NBA Finals are done with. You got to think to yourself, LeBron James, if he's in the finals, you really think they're going to make him lose and they're going to release Space Jam the week after? No. They're full aware. They know, I'm not saying this is scripted or rigged, but I am. But they know LeBron James is going to win the championship. He knows that and understands it as well. He will win his 5th NBA championship, and then Space Jam 2 will come out to theaters and people can watch as well. They're trying to glorify him as the GOAT. If they gave him a 5th ring, and then you put out Space Jam 2, if it's a good movie, this is little things that are really going to build up his case in his career. Keep an eye out on that.
All right, so there were a lot of cigars. There was nightly wine. There was even a little tequila here and there. And I'm not sure, even though he posted a couple of videos back in the lab, I'm not sure he was back in the lab. I think he's in the backyard playing horse with Bronny, and it's just not the same. So he got a little bit out of shape. And last night, early on, he looked like he was on December 30th about to turn 38 or 39 instead of what is he going to be, 36. Okay. And I was just a little stunned by his first few misses because they looked out of sync, out of whack, a little awkward looking. If we could just see quickly his first 4 misses, it just didn't look like LeBron. And as Vogel said after the game, he just didn't have his legs underneath him. And LeBron, no, that's a bad idea. And then we got the first LeBrick logo 3.
We tried to bank that in. I think,
wait, that hit the glass first.
Yeah, we tried to do that.
He called bank. That's right. Boop, boop, in and out. That was a LeBrick.
That's okay.
And then he did come back in the second quarter after he waved out of the game with about 5.5 minutes left in the first quarter. He waved to him, and then they showed him on the bench. He was heaving, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's, as you always say, there's nothing like this to substitute for actually playing NBA basketball.
Why they got my man Chris Broussard in the middle just doing nothing right now?
So he did look a little better, and then he did take, if we could see the next logo 3, which was at the buzzer of halftime. Well, we just got to see it.
We don't have to see it.
It's my favorite shot of the night. And
Skip Bayless understands very well that LeBron James will win this championship. He's got to do what he's got to do with trolling him. It's petty. He's in show business. I get it.
I got it.
Terrible.
I got this.
You're terrible.
I got this. I pulled up, and he hit nothing but air. I think it might have ticked the side of the rim, but I'm not sure.
We getting all these bugs out. We get all these bugs out early. Come Tuesday, that's going to be...
It looks suspiciously like an air ball to me. A little wide right.
Come Tuesday.
So I think last year was different because AD's first year, they wanted to really go out and get AD playing through injuries, bumps and bruises, and playing every night if possible. And so I think they went out hard last year. I don't know that they're going to do that this season. It may not affect the win-loss record, though, because of their depth. They've got a lot of other dudes that can make things happen.
But I think the difference was last year, they didn't anticipate a pandemic. So you want the number 1 seed, Skip. You want everybody to come to your building if we need a Game 7. You're probably going to end up going back to a bubble again, Skip, for the playoffs. So now it doesn't matter. We're going to be in a bubble. So it doesn't matter if I'm the 1 seed or the 4 seed or the 5 seed, which we're not going to be. Can you imagine, LeBron?
Okay, but I'm going to remind you, LeBron got the...
They're done with the bubble. The bubble's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for the regular season. You're not going to make guys go there for 6-7 months. And for the playoffs, I still don't expect that as well. If anything, they won't have any fans for any of these games if you're doing home or away. With the LA Lakers, they're going to be the number 1 seed in the West, let alone in the whole NBA. And even though I've had my favorites of either Luka or Kevin Durant winning regular season MVP, if LeBron James gets the number 1 record in the whole league and just pretty much does his normal thing, he has a very, very good shot at winning regular season MVP. I know we state that every single season, but every single season, ever since 2013, LeBron James pretty much has not had the number 1 record in the whole league. Usually around 3rd, 2nd, sometimes around 5th or 6th. But the Lakers right now, if they were to get the number 1 seed in the whole NBA, they pretty much will give it to LeBron James. I know you have Luka, who probably won't have enough amount of wins. They'll probably be around the Mavericks, a 4th or 5th seed. And then with the Brooklyn Nets in the East, they'll probably be around a 2nd to 3rd or 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. If LeBron gets number 1 seed in the whole NBA, they'll probably most likely give it to him.
Greatest break of his career, he got almost 5 months off before last year's playoffs started in the bubble.
Well, what about the guy that...
All right, Skip's going to be all petty talking about this.